Hey guys, Tiffany Ofili Porter here, where I discuss all things life after sport. In this video, we're going to do a little bit of a chit chat. We're going to try to get through some of this laundry and multitask and talk a little bit about routine, how I'm adjusting to life with 3 kids, and just what things look like for me in this season. I will offer some tips and tricks as we go along in this conversation. So if that video sounds interesting, make sure you continue to watch.
Balancing motherhood with medals on her chest. She's proven that greatness knows no rest. Representing the countries with pride she stands.
You guys, we have a family of 5 now. So as you can imagine, we make a lot more laundry than we ever have. I always felt like laundry was never that difficult of a chore when it was just me and my husband. And then when Chi came along, I was like, oh, this is not that bad. And then when JJ came along, I was like, oh. And then now with a newborn thrown into the mix, I very much feel like I'm always playing catch up. So I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a little inspired today to create. And I want to talk to my people. You know, we're all about being real and authentic on this channel. So why not kind of give you a realistic view of what laundry looks like for me? So the way that I typically do it, I separate the clothes and kind of do it in chunks because it literally gets overwhelming. I do about a load every other day. At best case scenario, worst case scenario, I will do a load every 3rd day, which that's usually when it looks like this and I feel a tiny bit overwhelmed. But essentially what I do is I separate like my husband and my clothes that are going to go into our closet, kind of like how I'm doing right now. I separate the new baby's clothes that are going to go into her bedroom, JJ's clothes, which will go into his bedroom, and Chi-Chi's clothes that will obviously go into her bedroom. So since it can feel a little bit overwhelming, what I would do is kind of have an organized, chaotic system, if that makes sense. So essentially, I will throw the clothes in the closet and kind of get to it as I can, if that makes sense. So my children all have their own separate systems, and it just makes it easier where it's like, okay, today I'm gonna just put all of our clothes and hang them up. And then maybe in a couple of hours after the baby wakes up, I will hang up hers. And then JJ's a light sleeper, so I need to do his stuff like kind of as he's awake. Both kids are napping right now. I have this B-Tech monitor, which, by the way, you guys, if you want me to do like a postpartum newborn essentials video, I certainly can, because there have been a couple of items that have literally changed the game for us. Now, this one isn't necessarily a game changer per se, because in 2025, who doesn't have a monitor? However, I will say this VTech one, I'll go ahead and link it in the description box. It was like 40 bucks. And it does everything that we needed to do. There's 2-way talk on it. It charges quickly. It holds a charge for forever. And it's just a great option to like the Infant Optics one that we got with my daughter. That was like $300 and some odd, maybe like $275. I can't remember. But essentially, now that one did last us. We used that for the whole of my daughter's like kind of childhood and like infancy, and then also for my son, and then eventually little man just broke the antenna off, so it no longer worked. So we were going to just replace it and just get the same brand, but I was like, hold on, this VTech one is cheaper. It had a lot of good reviews and literally has definitely been very useful. Now we also have in each kid's room, well, actually more so the newborn. So we have this one, we can take the actual monitor around with you around the house. And then we have the one where it's like you can look at it like anywhere in the world. It's like via like Wi-Fi. And then we have the Wi-Fi one for my daughter's room, and then the Wi-Fi one for JJ's room, which is where my mom has been sleeping lately. So we haven't put that one technically up because we wanted her to have her privacy and not feel like we're watching her while she's sleeping or just being in that room. So technically JJ's is not up, but we do have one in each kid's room. So essentially the ones that you have for Wi-Fi are cheaper, but you have to like use your phone as the monitor. So you don't want to have your phone perpetually running when you have a baby that you want to check on, like for example with my daughter Zikora, because that's going to kill my phone battery. But having those monitors definitely are helpful. It gives you a peace of mind because I'm able to have my baby not necessarily up under me, but still have the capacity to kind of check on her and make sure that she's, okay. And I always have the volume on like as high as it can be. So any little peep, I'm able to hear her. And thankfully, if you can hear how quiet it is in my house, my son is sleeping. Hence another reason why I was like, let me go ahead and record this video and multitask with my people. And it's just been nice. It's like literally the biggest treat as a parent when you have your children napping at the same time. My oldest is in 1st grade, so she's not here right now, but if she were, I would definitely kind of push for us to all nap at the same time. Now, I know it might look very disorganized what I'm doing, but like I said, as I go to the closet to put away my husband's clothes, like I'm gonna fold these and put them up. But since they're dry fit, if I do it now, sometimes it loses its shape. I have a system. Let me know what your guys' system is for folding clothes. Like, are you a do a laundry every day type of person? Or are you more so like I'm just gonna let it all pile up and do it once a week and just tackle it? I've tried that before in the past, and that was a fine method when it was just me and my husband and just with Chi-Chi, but with all these kids, completely overwhelmed if I try to wait to do it every week. Another one of my favorite postpartum / newborn essentials is a cover for breastfeeding your child. Now, if you're not breastfeeding, then this might not necessarily apply to you, but for me, this is one that I absolutely love, and I can link that down in the comments as well. It's very affordable, and it is on Amazon, so very easy to access as well. And then these nursing bras, I live in these. I literally have one right now. I bought a pack of 3, and I love them because they're very comfortable, and they're also very supportive. Obviously, kind of during pregnancy, especially for me, kind of towards the end of pregnancy, and then as you're breastfeeding, your bust increases, if you will. So I like these because they're very stretchy. They have full coverage. They come with these little extenders in the back. So kind of as you're losing weight along your postpartum journey, you can take the extenders off and adjust it to just really fit and customize where you are. And then the clips for the nursing are very easy to come on and off. And because of the material, they feel almost like sports bras, but not like too restrictive. And they're adjustable in the back. And they also come with like a little clip where you can make like a razor back. These are just some really amazing bras. Like I said, I've been living in them, and they have been extremely helpful for me. And they can also be used postpartum, like when you're done breastfeeding, so post, I guess, lactation, because like even though they have this little clip, you can't even really tell. Like they are just really amazing, like everyday bras. And I love them. So check them out if you are interested. I definitely am trying to get some of a routine down right now. It's a little bit difficult because it feels almost like with having multiple children, kind of when one is reaching a new milestone, you have to adjust kind of in real time, and you just have to do that kind of 3 times with 3 different kids. So for example, my newborn is no longer waking up every like 2 hours to nurse, but then some days she'll do like a cluster feeding, like back to back to back to back, and you're like so tired. And then other days she'll give you a 4 to 5 hour stretch. So, little mama is still trying to figure it out. And as am I, because, I've never been a mom of 3 before. This is new for her and new for us as well. But I think because there is that like lack of consistency in like her sleep in particular, it can be a little bit tricky. And like what she does is give me a really long nap during the day, which is nice. I'm able to get stuff done. But if we had a rough night the night before, it's tough for me because I technically should be napping. And you know how they always say nap when the baby naps, but it's like I got work to do. I'm not just able to just, nap every like drop of a dime, because even if the baby's napping, I still have JJ to take care of. Now that leads me to my next point, is that my mom is still here doing a mugo for me. I've talked about it in my old versus young geriatric pregnancy video that I did before I had my kids. And if you didn't watch that, make sure you check that video out. But essentially a mugo is when your mother-in-law or your mom comes in Nigerian culture and they help you postpartum. So it's kind of akin to like what we would call like a doula here in the West. But essentially my mom is here. So she has been helping me to just, transition and adjust. And I think that is very helpful because it allows me to just kind of get my bearing and get my feet under me. But as I'm kind of adjusting again, it's going to be another adjustment when she finally does leave. So on one hand, it's like you kind of want to be a little bit independent so you can kind of get into a routine of how it's going to look when it's just you and your husband and your 3 kids. But then on the other hand, it's like, no, during this time, soak up all of the support and figure it out after she leaves. So I'm kind of somewhere in between those two. But it's been such a blessing. My mom and I, we have very different personalities. I guess that's just like the best way to say it. So sometimes we do butt heads in some areas, but it's all love. And I know the same way I have her best interest at heart, that she certainly does have mine as well. So another one of my postpartum favorites that I have been using religiously is this belly band. And I'll go ahead and try to find like a link to a similar one. I want to say I got it off of Target, but I'm sure they have things very similar on Amazon or just pretty much at any real retailer that would sell something like that. And I used the same one for my daughter and the same one for my son. And I mentioned it again in my vlog where I showed my labor and delivery experience, that literally I hadn't even left the labor and delivery room yet, and I was heading to the mother and baby recovery room. I had already started banding. Now, talk to your healthcare provider. The nurse was like, oh, do you want to wait for a second? I said, no, I'm okay, thank you. And she was like, okay. And that's just been kind of how I've done it in the past, and it's always worked out really well for me. Now, I do know my sisters who have C-sections to bring their babies earthside, you have that scar. So you're not supposed to be belly banding and even thinking about stuff like that kind of as you're healing from that major abdominal surgery. But for a vaginal birth, and for me, again, the pharmacist in me will say, I'm not giving medical advice because I'm not. I'm just saying what has worked for me is to just start belly banding pretty much immediately. Now, I don't remember with my first two kids if I slept in it. Like, I'll nap in it sometimes because you can adjust the tightness of it. Like, literally you just unhook it right here, and if you want it to be a little bit loose, I like to have mine pretty tight. And obviously as you continue to lose weight, you can make it tighter and tighter, and that's why it's customizable. But I sometimes nap in it if it's not too tight and not like cutting off my circulation, but I do not sleep at night with it on, because I found that I am already kind of sleep deprived. I need my sleep to be as comfortable as possible so we can, you know, enjoy the few hours that we have in between wake ups of my daughter. Now, my husband, as you can see, we have this, what do you even call it? The Bassinest, I think, the Halo Bassinest, I think is what they call it. And that's how my daughter sleeps. I love this one. Again, this is one of my postpartum favorites, or I guess more so newborn favorite. They kind of go hand in hand, right? Where it is, you can swivel it. So I can bring her close. If I need to get up and go to the bathroom, I can move her and go to the potty. I can turn a light on if I need it. You can play music. It has a little bit of a rocking motion to soothe the baby. I don't really use these too much just because, you know, just haven't been part of my routine, but it's nice to have. And I really do appreciate the fact that this same one has lasted me for all three of my kids. So I guess a little tip here is, if you are a mama and you are having children and you have an idea that you don't think you're done with kids, keep your stuff if you can, if storage permits, and try not to throw it away, because you can use it for multiple kids. Things like car seats, you have to be a little bit careful on, because those can be safety issues. They do kind of expire and kind of lose their integrity as time goes on. So there has to be a balance with those. But things like this, you certainly can reuse. And another tip, if you are like me, some people are a little bit strange, or some people are a little bit particular, should I say. And if it doesn't apply to you, then fine. But I actually bought this from Once Upon a Child, which is a secondhand like retailer that sells things that are gently used. And I paid, it says, the price is actually still here, $75 for this bedside bassinet. I want to say they retail for upwards of like $200, $250, maybe even more. And I had my eye on it, kind of started shopping slowly as I was preparing for the baby, because I knew a lot of these things were really pricey, and I just, you know, always trying to save a coin. Now, I do know some people are particular. Like, you can wash it. This little insert here, you can wash the insert, like the actual like crib mattress, if you will, and the cover. You can wash this. So for me, I'm like, if we wash it and it's safe and it was in great condition, still is in great condition 3 years later, if we can kind of maintain the cleanliness of it, then I personally don't have any problem with shopping secondhand. I shop secondhand for myself. I shop secondhand for my grown kids, because kids grow so fast, and, you know, within reason, like I said, if it's never a safety issue, or if it's like, you know, the thing is not clean or it's just not in great condition, then just don't buy it. You can be selective when you shop at these secondhand stores. And honestly, as much as I do thrift, I am extremely selective. It's not everything that I go to the thrift store to purchase. So definitely something to keep in mind there if you are a parent, or if you are planning to be a parent. Maybe just start kind of thinking about what your approach would be. I don't only thrift for my kids, but I certainly do thrift very, very happily. And I do find the conversation about thrifting a little bit interesting. So I've had somebody in my family once say, Tiffany, you shouldn't tell people that you thrift. Aren't you embarrassed? And I was like, what an interesting perspective. And I asked them, I was like, tell me why you would even like suggest that. Why do you think I would be embarrassed? And they were just almost like, back in my day, we didn't let people know that we shop secondhand because it was like an indicator of you just not having the means or, not being well off. And then it kind of made me pause and kind of think, you know what, maybe I am kind of speaking a little bit from a place of privilege because I thrift to save a coin. I think anybody, whether you are a multi-millionaire, can certainly benefit from saving a coin. However, I do recognize that some people thrift out of pure, like, I can't shop anywhere else. I thrift because, yes, I can afford to shop other places. I just choose not to because I want to stretch my dollar for as much as I can. And I guess that's just an interesting conversation. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts down in the comments, kind of what your thoughts are on thrifting. I had another family member who didn't mean anything by it. I wasn't offended, but I just thought it a very interesting perspective. He said that it was almost like, he didn't use the word unethical, but that was kind of the vibe he was giving, that it was almost unethical for me, I guess because whatever, like, we're blessed and we're not necessarily struggling financially, to be shopping at a thrift store because I should save those items for people who really need them. And I was like, oh wow, again, you talk to different people in life and you hear different perspectives, and sometimes it can cause you to pause. And I was just like, wow. Now, I don't look at it that way, obviously, because I'm still thrifting, but I can kind of see how somebody could think that, where it's like, oh, you're taking good items away from people who don't have an option to shop anywhere else. If anything, I look at it as a lot of these thrift stores, like the Goodwill, the Salvation Army, they actually supposedly, like, hopefully they're kind of sticking to what they say, they support a lot of, like, people who need jobs. They give back to the community. So if anything, I'm looking at it as I am supporting in that way, because, like, yes, they get these items off of donation, and some people hate the business model of thrift stores because a lot of the CEOs do get paid a lot of money for items that should be, a lot cheaper. And I get the whole back and forth conversation, but again, I don't necessarily look at it that way. I'd love to chat with you down in the comments, kind of what your thoughts are on that, because I definitely try to respond to everybody, and I'm here about building community so we can kind of learn and grow from each other. But yeah, it's just a very interesting dynamic. Like I said, I probably am not going to stop thrifting. And I also just love the sustainability, and to me, it's decreasing my carbon footprint. There's just so many positives to thrifting that I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. In fact, I was at the thrift store 2 days ago, this past weekend, because I was just trying to kill some time when my daughter had her dance class. But yeah, guys, as you can see, I kind of have my organized chaos. I'm going to throw those things there in my daughter's room. Those ones go in the baby's room. Those ones are for JJ. These ones are for us. So we have the system here, and it has definitely been working for us. Another postpartum / newborn essential that I absolutely love, I want to say this might be top 2 on my list. I'm going to do a whole dedicated video because I need to kind of compile a list to show you guys, is the Baseless car seat. Like I said, I'll go into more detail, but that one has been my favorite. So I use the same car seat with Chi and Jay for one of my cars, and it expired. So I went, like, earlier on in my pregnancy, this was probably like in April or May, and they had the 20% back coupon from Target when you go and donate, like, an expired car seat or car seat base. And again, the conversation of Target, I have definitely, for my friends who might come at me in the comments, decreased the amount that I personally shop in Target, but I haven't, like, completely eliminated it. So whereas I might have been in Target like once a week, I might go like once every 3 months, and I'm being very, very candid with you. So essentially, I got the coupon that you can use to purchase, I think, a baby item, or maybe specifically to purchase another car seat, which was no problem because I needed another car seat. I got the Jovi, I think it's called, Baseless car seat, where it's like this new technology where you can just click it into your car, like the little hooks. It's kind of difficult for me to explain. I might see if I can kind of get a tutorial to show you, but it has been a game changer because we do have 3 vehicles, and I don't want to have to be carrying around or have 3 bases in my car. I like the idea of just being free and, being able to just change the car seat that we use for Z in each of our cars without having to think about buying an additional base. So the actual car seat itself is a little bit more expensive than its, like, base counterparts, but in the long run, you save money from not having to purchase 3 separate bases for 3 different vehicles. And it's convenient because you don't have to even worry about the hassle. And a big benefit for me is just having that extra seat. So for example, if you have a base in your car when you're driving, because it's kind of, corresponding to your infant car seat, that's like a seat that somebody can't use if you want to have more cargo. I mean, like, technically you could just unhook and undo the base, but that's a hassle, right? Versus not having to deal with the base, you can just remove the car seat. If I'm not driving with my daughter, I have an extra seat for like an adult or a child or anybody that wants to drive in my car. So that has been one of my top favorite items of this postpartum period, as well as my Haaka. I'll talk about my breastfeeding journey in a different video, because I'm gonna probably make this a series for those moms who might be just trying to, you know, figure it out, get it out the mud the way we all are. I'm just here to help in any way that I can. But the Haaka has really increased my breast milk supply. Again, I'll go into more detail about why I love that particular item so much. But yeah, y'all, I need to go ahead and put these items up so I can do my thing before these kids like wake up. But let me know if you like these chit chatty videos where, you know, we're able to multitask, able to still give a little bit of value, get to know me a little bit better, and just kind of see the real, raw, unpolished side of Tiffany Ofili Porter's life. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.